What's going on, everybody? Dev Del Molino here, the synthesizer of opinions, back with another review, and another review, because today we're doing a 2-for-1. Both Jaden and Willow Smyth have released albums like not even a month apart from one another. Jaden's album is titled Syre, Willow's album is titled The First. So we're going to go ahead and compare and contrast some of the attributes about both of these albums, and I'm going to let you guys know what I'm thinking about each of these projects. If you don't know who Jaden and Willow Smyth are, wow, you have been living under a rock. You shouldn't be watching this video right now. It wouldn't make any sense for you to be watching this. Both of these little twerps are coming in with new projects, and with these new projects come newer and updated versions of Jaden and Willow as artists and as musicians. Willow is moving forward from her 2015 release, Ardipithecus, Arpeggio, and an Enemy. Anyway, she's coming off of that album, and it was trending very strongly in the alternate R&B realm, the neo-soul realm. It was kind of poppy at moments as well. While this new project over here, The First, is certainly redirecting its path and heading in a much more traditionally alternative direction. It's definitely got its indie parts to it, and some small quantities are almost folky at times. It seems to be a big retraction of her sounds, her tools, and her overall aesthetic. Whereas with this new Jaden album, Syre, he is going all in for an all-out extravaganza. This album presents itself as a progressive hip-hop piece. I would say it's somewhat experimental, but it is certainly equipped with an emphasis on theatrics. And there is a story being delivered here, but what seems to be emphasized again even more is just like the performance of it all. Again, contrary to his sister's album, it seems like he's trying to pull out every trick in his bag. So overall, to start, I guess I will kick this thing off by saying that I like one of these albums, and the other one I am kind of disappointed in. Jaden's album has its handful of flaws, and it's pretty confusing, creative, directive decisions, but I do have to commend him on putting a very strong and very confident foot forward on this project, his first major release, whereas with Willow's album, I am stuck wondering why this project is not nearly as polished as I went into the album thinking it was going to be. I do, however, think that both of these albums start off on impressively strong notes. Willow's album comes forth with the first track being the very organic and sophisticated song Boy. This song has some really nice strings to it, some nice horns, and Willow herself is very endearing as a vocalist. Off of the coattails of this song comes An Awkward Life of an Awkward Girl, which is just simply a very damp and dark and gloomy piano interlude. These two songs laid down a foundation for the album that I thought would work very well moving forward. But unfortunately, Willow doesn't really follow up with these songs in the way that I was hoping that she would. She just moves along the track list sounding not nearly as sonically savvy as she did with these first two tracks. And then with Jaden's album, he just completely blows the front doors off of his project with this epic 4-part saga of songs to just kick the record right off. My favorite amongst these was the song titled Under the Letter U, which apparently was originally titled Jimi Hendrix under the first draft of this project. What you'll notice with this track, as you can notice with the rest of the album to be honest, there is a large serving of Kanye influence in play. But I do hear enough of Jaden on this track and on the rest of the album to be comfortable with that influence, and this song being number 3 of this string of 4 tracks serves as a very rewarding climax to the saga. Okay, so I'm gonna diverge here for a sec. Y'all gonna have to bear with me. I need y'all to help me out real quick. We gonna play a game called Is This Bars or Nah? I'm gonna go ahead and read one of these Jaden lyrics from the song You, and then you are gonna comment down below if it's a bar or if it was just stupid. My heart is broken, heart is broken. Getting green. Man, I'm artichoking, man, I'm artichoking. That's the art of choking. I give him credit because the first line says hearts, like artichoke hearts, but then like anyways, yeah, drop that comment and thank you for playing with me. Lyrics, neither of these albums are very lyrically impressive at all. In fact, both of them have their kind of ridiculous lyrical moments. So with Jaden's album, on the outer layers of Jaden's lyrical artichoke, there's just a lot of freelance bravado and just kind of like cool guy whatever bars, which is totally fine because in a lot of scenarios on this project it's Jaden's flow that really does a lot of the delivering. So that very slouched shoulder attitude really finds him in a nice pocket in a lot of places along this album. I think you'll notice this the most on songs like Breakfast and George Jeff. Now with some of the other songs, he is throwing in these very large scale and kind of vague political ideologies. They're just kind of statements that to me don't really mean all that much. And then when we boil this thing down to its more focused lyrical moments, a lot of this content is just like Jaden hashing out a complicated relationship. And a lot of Willow's album lyrically is the same in this aspect. What I can say about Willow, however, is that comparatively to her brother, the moments where she makes political statements, they're significantly more specific and meaningful. I feel like she actually has something to say about race and feminism and identity. So let's do a little fave not here. I'm going to start with Jaden's album, BLUE Saga. Pretty freaking great. After that, Breakfast. Again, great. I wish A$AP Rocky actually had a verse on this song. Then we have Hope. Then we have Falcon, which Falcon in particular I think is a great highlight on this album. Another stellar instrumental, and the Rari feature really brings this track to life. George Jeff, crazy. And what I'm going to say about the rest of this album isn't anything that other people aren't already saying, because it's factual. The first 9 tracks on this album are wonderfully cohesive and all pretty solid front to back, because this whole first half of the album is full of great sonic pacing and full of these bells and whistles that are a lot of fun to listen to. The latter 8 tracks are essentially just B-sides, singles, but there is no cohesion amongst these 8 tracks or the 9 that came before it. And some of the worst material shows up on the second half. So a big fave not for me would have to be Watch Me. Again, another song with striking Kanye similarities. It reminds me a lot of Black Skinhead from the Yeezus album. But Watch Me is a pretty obnoxious track, whereas Black Skinhead was a lot better executed and had significantly more vision. Now, faves for the Willow album. Again, Boy and An Awkward Life. Great start to the album. Lonely Road towards the end of this album is another track that is well put together and has a lot of beauty in the melody. Warm Honey is a pretty solid neo-soul track, but it has no business being on this track listing where it is so recognizably alternative and indie, to contrast that of her previous album, which was primarily like R&B. So I just found this song to be rather puzzling, like why is it on the album? Fave not, Human Leech is an awful, god-awful song for Willow. Vocally, lyrically, it's stupid. It's a really ugly song, and like not in like the Nina Simone ugly way. It just sounds like 13-year-old screeching anger coming out of a 17-year-old. You're a human leech. And for the rest of this album, it's coming out okay to just meh. And I think some of this may have to do with like my personal taste, but I also feel like there is a clear qualitative difference from the songs that I ended up really liking to the songs that I didn't like. So, final takes for both of these albums. I've already said a lot of what I wanted to say, but for Willow, she really needs to come together with a more cohesive sound and vision for herself as an artist. Otherwise, her projects are going to continue to be a bit in disarray and not fully please anybody. Because with this album, it seems like one person's trash may end up being another person's gold, and vice versa with a lot of the material here. And with Jaden, I feel like I'm actually looking at one of my favorite 10 albums of this year. We just cut this second half off. But despite those criticisms that I have for both albums, I'm looking at both of these artists and I see people who have an interest in their own individualism when it comes to being a musician. And so I come away from both of these albums hoping that they turn some of their focuses to being musicians and continue to put out product, because I think that they can get better and better with each project. I would just have to say that I got significantly more immediate enjoyment out of Jaden's album this time around. And those are my thoughts. What did you guys think? Did you listen to one of these albums? Did you listen to both? Favorite tracks? Adjectives to describe this album? Was it hot or nah? Was it a bar or nah? Drop that down in the comment box below. And that's going to be it for me. I have been Dev Del Molino. You have been so wonderful for watching, as always. And remember, art without favor is like a windmill without wind. Dev Del Molino, Artichoke.